Hi everyone, I'm Rochelle, and today's video is going to be a little different because today I'm excited to share with you the birth story of our third little girl, Gemma Beretta Louise. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. I make videos on integrating the Montessori method with our Catholic faith at home. Oh yeah, is that right? Are you saying hi to everybody? Yeah? I'm really excited to share with you all our birth story, and if you've been following along, I recently posted a day in the life video, just kind of explaining, the last few weeks of pregnancy and how we are going to have our first home birth. Kind of walked you through like a little tour of that in our master bedroom. And I thought it would be fun to share with you all our birth story. And I wanted to make sure I did it soon before I forget all of the details. So starting with her name, we named her Gemma after Saint Gemma Galgani. And she actually has two middle names. It's a tradition in our family. So her first middle name is Beretta after Saint Gianna Beretta Molla, and in celebration of the overturn of Roe v. Wade. And her second middle name is Louise, and that's after my mother-in-law who recently passed away, and her middle name was Louise, so they share a middle name. So diving into the birth story. So they always say that the third one is kind of a wild card, and now I totally agree with that. That was definitely my experience. It was very different than when I, gave birth to Anna and Chaley. As I explained in my latest day in the life video, I was about 38 weeks pregnant and I was having some cramping. And I'd been having this type of cramping for a while. And, sometimes they would feel like very slight contractions, but they were so mild, and typically they would just go away if I took like a bath or something or just kind of rested. But come to find out, I was going through prodromal labor or false labor, and I really didn't know that. I'd been going through it for weeks, and so it was just a brand new experience for me to have, false labor contractions like that. Never had that before. And it was getting, if you can understand, like if you've gone through false labor before, it was just getting completely frustrating because some days I'd wake up and be like, I'm 39 weeks and I'm having this, I'm having these contractions. Maybe this is labor. Maybe this is it. And I've just never had, kind of a ramping up before because usually my labors are very, very fast. So I've never really experienced kind of early labor contractions before. But anyway, it never progressed anywhere. So when I was 39 weeks and 5 days, I had been explaining all of this to my midwives. My midwife suggested I take a smoothie, an induction smoothie. It's called the Midwives Brew, and it has like verbena oil in it and castor oil, and it is, if you're interested, it's called Midwives Brew, and it's just kind of a nasty concoction of things, and it was not very good at all. It was pretty gross, actually, but it did the trick. So I took the smoothie at around 8 p.m. on July 1st and figured I might as well try it because, as I said, I was having a lot of false labor. So I took the smoothie around 8 p.m. on July 1st, and then the midwife said that it should kick in with some regular contractions, maybe 2 to 3 hours later. So my husband and I decided, okay, we're just gonna go ahead and get everything ready to go. So we pumped up the birth tub, and I put a shower curtain and then another fitted sheet on top of our bed, which is how the midwives ask you to do it. And then I kind of set up the environment. I had like some essential oils going and candles, and at that point, after kind of getting everything ready, I was sitting on my exercise ball and listening to my Christian birth affirmations, which I will make sure to link below if you're trying to find some for yourself, because these were great for me. And I was just kind of trying to get mentally prepared and even, physically prepared for hopefully the contractions that were going to start. I was really skeptical, thinking how in the world is the smoothie going to kick off labor, but it worked because around 10:30, so only 2.5 hours later, spot on to when the midwife said, I actually started getting contractions that were a little bit more regular. Starting at 10:30, they started to be about every 15 to 30 minutes and anywhere from like 30 to 60 seconds long. And so I knew, because they were more consistent and there was a little bit of a pattern, that this was probably early labor. So I gave my midwives a call. They came around 11:30, and they just, helped themselves up. They came to check on me, see how I was doing, and ask me questions. And they got the whole room set up with all their equipment very quietly, trying to like help me to relax, keep doing what I was doing. And they just set up the whole room. And then once they got the room set up, they gave me time to just rest and settle in with the early contractions. The midwives recommended that I try to get some rest, try to get some sleep if I can. So I really tried. I got into my Bradley method position, which, if you're not sure what that is, it's basically a side lying position where you're just trying to focus on breathing with the contractions, so not against them. You're not supposed to tense up with every contraction. You're supposed to really just breathe with each wave, with each contraction. And you do it laying in this side position where your whole body is completely relaxed. So you're focusing on relaxing every single muscle, even your jaw, your neck, everything, every single part of your body. And I used this position with Chaley, and it just proved to be very, very helpful for me. So I got into my position, focused on my breathing. Are you trying to say hi? Focused on my breathing, and just tried to, get some rest if I could. So then around 2:30 a.m., the midwives at this point were checking me every, half an hour to an hour. And she asked me how my contractions were. And at that point, I looked at her and I'm like, I think my labor has stalled because I haven't really felt one the last half hour or so. And I almost started crying because I was just so upset and so frustrated at that point with all the false labor that I had been going through, and taking this smoothie and then feeling it ramp up and then just stop. So thankfully, she did a Miles circuit position with me. And if you don't know what Miles circuit is, it's basically these 3 different positions that you can get your body in to help with the positioning of baby, because typically it's the position of baby that could stall labor. And she did only there's one position that's like the extreme lying position where you're on your left side, but you have your leg up on like 3 or 4 pillows, like really high. And she put me in that position, and right away, thank God, right away, my contractions picked up. And I mean, it wasn't even a minute. It was just right away, like I said. And it was really shocking to me how one simple position could just put me right back into labor. So I got in that position for about 30 minutes, and right away I knew I had gotten into active labor because those contractions were familiar to me. They were more painful. I really had to focus on what I was doing. I couldn't really talk through them. They were much closer together. Once I stopped like actually thinking about how close together my contractions are and stuff, that's when I know I'm in active labor, because like somebody else has to do it for me, So I was at that point. So I was only in active labor for about 30 minutes to an hour, and the midwives knew I was ready to go. And so I remember they came into the room as I was going through active labor. They were getting the water into my birthing tub, getting everything prepared that they needed. And then they came up to me and they said, Rochelle, you're in transition. And I was like, what? No, I'm not. What? Like, yeah, you're in transition. We're going to go into the tub now. And I was like, praise God. This is so great because it's not stalling. So I got into the tub. And at that point, I was very relaxed in that, like I said, in that Bradley method position. It's painful, and I was really trying to focus on, like I said, going with the contractions. But it was just really relieving to know that I had already been in transition. So I got into the birthing tub. I asked my husband to go in with me, just thinking he would be such a great support for me. And it was such a good decision to have him in there with me. So he was helping me through the hardest part, which for me, I hate transition. It is the worst. It's just, to me, it's worse than pushing, because at that point after transition, I'm just so ready to push that it's just relieving. Whereas the part of transition, it's like, I just want to get baby out. So anyway, so I was excited to be in transition. Once I got into the pool, I've never given birth in a pool before. And I was immediately like amazed about, how, I don't know, just the buoyancy of the water and the fact that it was so nice and hot and relaxing. And unfortunately, even though I absolutely hate transition, I was in transition for 2 hours, which is insane. I had never been in transition for that long before. With both of my girls, I was in transition for maybe, I don't know, less than a half hour with Anna and probably less than 15 minutes with Jaylee. So I really expected it to be quick, which is why I was so excited when the midwife said, "You're in transition," If you can imagine laboring in transition for that long, at that point, your body is just kind of waiting to push. And I never felt an urge to push. And after, like I said, like close to an hour and a half or so, I remember looking at the midwives and being like, why am I still in transition? I don't understand. Like I just said, I was like, I'm like at my wit's end, just like totally done. And I was just like, can I just try to push, please? They're like, yeah, if you feel ready. They had me doing all of these different positions while in transition, which was so painful and so difficult because doing all these different positions when you're in transition is just really tough to do. And it's supposed to be, right? It's supposed to help you progress into labor. Maybe baby, again, is in a bad position or something, but gosh, it was pretty difficult. So by the end of that, hour and a half or so of transition, I was so tired and just weak at that point that they needed to give me some oxygen to just kind of help progress through the rest of it. And I just kind of did everything I could to focus on, not tiring out. And so as I was trying to push, I just felt this urge of like baby coming out and then going back up. And so I mentioned that to the midwife and they're like, let's see what's going on. And it turns out that my water bag was so thick, which, is healthy. You want to have a strong water bag, but my water bag was so thick that, it kind of acts like a balloon where you can't really push it out. It just goes back up. So the midwives, knowing what to do at that point, just to get the labor to progress, is they suggested breaking my bag of waters. And, I agreed to that. And so they broke my bag and right away I had the urge to push and pushed baby out within a handful of pushes. So it was great. And then once little baby was born, we had a surprise gender, had no idea, if baby was a boy or girl. I, again, was wrong. I really thought baby was a boy and little Gemma surprised us all. So our third little girl, and we were just so overjoyed. It was an amazing experience to have a home birth and have the midwives come here to my home. Like I said, this was my first time having a home birth and it was a wonderful experience. I would totally recommend it if you're having a low risk pregnancy and you've had, pretty easy, normal deliveries, because it was just a wonderful experience. I remember, so she was born at 7 a.m. and I remember around, I don't know, like 6:30 in the morning or something when I was very close to pushing, Anna came into the room. So she woke up in the morning, she came into my room, which is what she does every morning. So she comes into her room and she's like, she looks at me, because I'm literally laboring in the tub at that point. And she looks at me and she knows immediately what's going on because I'm in the tub, and she knows that's what it was for. And I had prepared her so well for this birth. And so she looks at me and she says, "You're doing a great job, Mommy." Like, I just looked at her and it was like, "Thanks, baby. We're gonna have a baby soon." Just like with all of my strength that I could muster, you know, just trying to be as calm as possible for her sake. And then thankfully my mom was here and brought her down for breakfast. After they were done with breakfast, I came up, saw little Gemma, and it was just amazing and so natural to go through something like that and to be able to do my postpartum healing at home, and just make birth seem like a natural thing. So it was just really beautiful having the girls be able to be there, really. It was just a very, very wonderful experience. My postpartum journey has been fine. I've been recovering really well. Gemma has been doing amazingly well. Everything is very healthy and normal, so I'm really grateful for that. And because I was in transition for so long, all of my muscles, my uterus were just like very, very tired. And I lost more blood than is normal, but the midwives knew exactly what to do. They gave me shots of Pitocin, they gave me a full IV. I didn't lose so much that it was an emergency or anything, but I lost more than I should have. And because of that, I've had a longer postpartum journey. So I really wanted to film this earlier, and I just wasn't able to. I've had to really be on bed rest for a while, and I'm actually still on bed rest, but I'm able to walk around a little bit more, and I'm still in the healing process, but we're doing really, really well. But besides that, the postpartum journey has been just fine, and actually it's been such a gift to be able to spend this really beautiful, special time with Gemma and just get to know her and really just bond with her. Well, thank you again for allowing me to share Gemma's birth story with you all. If you're considering a home birth, I would highly recommend looking into it, since it was such a beautiful, positive experience for not only me and Gemma, but for our whole family. If you liked today's video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel so you don't miss a new video, which I post every other week. Thank you again for coming to my channel, where I make videos on integrating the Montessori method with our Catholic faith at home. I'll see you again next time. God bless.